You thought I'd never find out, but karma always does.
It was a Tuesday night, which should have been my first warning. Nothing good ever happens on a Tuesday. I was lying on our big bed when I heard the shower start again. This was Marissa's second shower of the day, which felt strange, since she was never the type to care much about being squeaky clean. She was more of a shower every other day, unless I have plans kind of woman. So 2 showers in one day was worth noting. The water was still running when I saw her handbag on the chair near our dresser, looking like it had burst open. The zipper was undone and half the stuff had spilled across the floor. Lip gloss, receipts, hair ties, and what looked like half a pharmacy's travel section spread across the wood floor. I'm not the type to dig through my wife's purse. That's a marriage sin, right up there with leaving the toilet seat up or forgetting an anniversary. But the mess bugged me, so I thought I'd be the nice husband and clean it before she came out and stress cleaned at midnight like she sometimes did when work got rough. So there I was, playing the good guy, picking up tampons and mints and wondering why women need 17 lipsticks that all look the same. That's when my hand brushed against something that didn't fit in with the usual purse junk. It was small, cool, and smooth metal, expensive and sharp in design. I pulled it out and held it to the lamp. A silver tube about 4 inches long with a sleek, simple look, like something Apple would make if they sold lube. The body was covered in Japanese writing, black against silver. It looked pricey, the kind of thing you don't just grab at CVS while buying milk. My first thought was medical. Maybe she had some issues she didn't want to talk about. Women's health can be tricky, and Marissa hated talking about things that made her uneasy. But then I thought, if it was medical, why was it Japanese? And why hadn't she told me? Curiosity won. I grabbed my phone, opened the camera, and scanned the text. Google Translate came to the rescue while I sat there at 11:30 p.m. questioning my marriage. The screen lit up with the translation, and I swear I felt my blood turn cold. Premium men's personal lubricant. Long-lasting formula. Men's lubricant. Not women's. Not couples. Men's. And it wasn't new. The tube was about half empty, with that used look from regular handling. I turned it over in my hands, my brain trying to catch up while my gut screamed what I didn't want to hear. My wife had never bought anything like this for us. We barely used lube at all, and when we did, it was the cheap pharmacy kind in a plain bottle. This one looked like it cost more than our grocery run, and it sure wasn't meant for us. I kept staring at the tube, then my eyes slid to her tablet on the desk. The screen was still on, glowing. She'd left it open after working on slides earlier. The home screen showed all her neat little app folders with cute names like Fun Stuff, Work Tools, and Groceries. Wait, groceries. I had never once seen Marissa use a grocery app. This was the same woman who made me drive to 3 stores just to get the right brand of pasta sauce. And now she had a grocery folder on her tablet? That was like finding out your vegan friend had a stash of burgers in the freezer. My hands shook as I tapped the folder. Inside was only one app I didn't know. Some kind of chat platform with a plain, boring icon. My thumb hovered over it forever. Or maybe just half a minute. This was it. Either I was crazy or my whole life was about to come apart. I opened it. The chat loaded, and right at the top was a thread with someone named Leo. The profile pic was just a shadow, but the words, oh God, the words. I can't wait to see you Thursday. Got us the usual room at the Marriott. Bring that stuff I like, the silver one. Makes it so much better. Going to do things to you your husband never could. I scrolled up. My sight blurred as weeks of messages filled the screen. Hotel rooms described in detail. Photos I wished I hadn't seen. Mentions of that same silver tube I was holding in my sweaty hand. The dates hit me like a hammer. Every late night at the office, every girls' night out, every too tired tonight, honey. All of it lies. The shower was still going. I could hear Marissa humming a pop song, carefree, like she hadn't just set fire to our marriage with a half-empty tube of Japanese lube and a secret chat app hidden in a fake grocery folder. I looked at the tube. Then, the messages. Then back at the tube. My hands stopped shaking. They moved steady now, almost calm. I walked to the kitchen, opened the junk drawer, and pulled out the tube of heavy-duty superglue I'd bought last month for a house repair. If Marissa wanted to play games with fancy foreign lube, then fine. I'd give her an experience she'd never forget. The shower finally stopped. I just finished my little arts and crafts project in the kitchen when I heard the bathroom door open. The sound of bare feet padding across our hardwood floors made my heart race, but not in the romantic way it used to. More like the I'm about to watch my life implode in real time way. Marissa walked out of the bathroom like she was in a shampoo ad, wrapped in that soft white towel I'd bought her for Christmas 2 years back. "Hey, babe," she said, her voice dripping with that fake sweet tone women use when they're hiding something. "You look tired." She padded to the kitchen, then came back with a tall glass of milk, holding it out like a peace gift. "Here, drink this," she said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "It'll help you sleep. Don't you have that early meeting tomorrow?" And there it was, the early meeting. The one I'd only tossed out at dinner. The one she'd tucked away in her lying little brain as the perfect time for another secret night out. Because nothing says loyal wife like sedating your husband so you can sneak off for fun with someone else. I took the glass, watching her face in the low light. She looked so caring, so worried about me getting rest. "Thanks, honey," I said, taking a small sip. I pretended to drink half, then set it down on the nightstand with a smile. "You're the best." "I love you." The words burned in my mouth, but her face lit up like it was real love. That was the worst part. Not just that she was cheating, but that she could look me in the eye with so much warmth while planning to run off to some hotel with a guy named Leo. The next hour was probably the longest 60 minutes of my life. I lay there listening to her breathing, waiting for it to settle into that deep, even rhythm that meant she thought I was out cold. Every few minutes, I'd let out a little snore or shift positions, really selling the whole heavily sedated husband performance. She was good, I'll give her that. She waited a full hour before making her move, probably making sure whatever she'd slipped me had enough time to kick in. I felt the mattress shift as she carefully climbed out of bed, moving with the stealth of someone who'd done this dance before. At exactly 12:45 a.m., I heard the soft click of our front door opening, then the faint sound of voices in the hallway outside our apartment. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure the neighbors could hear it through the walls. I gave her exactly 20 seconds, long enough to think she was in the clear, but not long enough for them to disappear entirely. Then I slipped out of bed, grabbed my robe, and crept toward the door like some kind of suburban ninja. The hallway was dimly lit, but I could see them at the far end, near the elevator. Marissa was pressed against the wall, and some tall guy had his hands on either side of her face, kissing her like she was the last woman on earth. Even from a distance, I could see he was everything I wasn't. Tall, muscular, probably 10 years younger than me. So, this was Leo. This was the man my wife thought was worth throwing away 15 years of marriage for. They were heading up to the 4th floor. I followed them and pressed myself against apartment 4C, directly above our spare bedroom. How's that for cosmic irony? The guy my wife was cheating with lived right above us. I could hear voices through the cheap door. "I can't believe you live right above him," Marissa was saying, excitement in her voice. "Makes it more fun, doesn't it?" "God, yes," Leo replied. "Did you bring what I asked for?" "Of course." "I brought what you like. The good stuff." My specially modified tube of Japanese lubricant, now featuring industrial adhesive that could probably hold a space shuttle together. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing out loud. For about 30 seconds, there was nothing but the kind of sounds you'd expect from two people who thought they were about to have the time of their lives. Then everything changed. "What the—" Leo's voice sharp and confused. "Wait, something's wrong," Marissa said, and I could hear the first note of panic creeping in. "What did you do? What the hell did you put on me?" "I don't understand. It's the same stuff as always. The silver tube, the Japanese brand you like. Something's wrong with it. We can't, oh God, we're stuck." And there it was. The moment I'd been waiting for. The sweet sound of two cheaters realizing that their night of passion had turned into a medical emergency. They tried everything. Water from the kitchen sink, soap from the bathroom, even what sounded like cooking oil. Nothing worked. "Now we need to call someone," Leo said, his voice tight with pain and embarrassment. After about 40 minutes of increasingly desperate attempts to separate themselves, they finally admitted defeat. I heard Leo make the call. "Yes, we need an ambulance." It's hard to explain. We're kind of stuck together. I decided that was my cue to leave. Phase 1 was complete. The next morning, Marissa shuffled through our front door around 10:30 a.m., looking like she'd been through a blender. Her hair was a disaster, makeup completely gone, moving like each step was agony. Her dress from last night was wrinkled and stained with what looked like hospital-grade antiseptic. "Morning, honey," I said, not looking up from my tablet. "How was your night? You came in pretty late." She froze in the doorway like a deer caught in headlights. "There was an emergency at work, a client crisis. I had to stay late to handle it." "That sucks," I said, finally looking up with my best concerned husband expression. "You look exhausted. And are you walking funny? Did you hurt yourself?" I fell at the office. Down some stairs, twisted my back. I went to urgent care. They said it was just a strain, gave me some medication for the pain. She was limping toward the bedroom when there was another knock at the door. Sure enough, there was Leo, looking like he'd gone 12 rounds with a heavyweight boxer who specialized in punching people in the lap. His jeans were unbuttoned at the top, hanging loose around his waist like he couldn't bear to have anything touching his skin down there. Hi," he said, his voice hoarse. "Is Marissa here? We need to talk about what happened last night." "Sure, come on in," I said, stepping aside with a friendly smile. "Marissa just got back from work." She had some kind of emergency that kept her out all night. They were both speaking in code, trying to have a conversation about their medical emergency without actually saying anything that might tip me off. I suggested they sit down since they both looked like they were in pain. The look they exchanged was pure panic. Sitting down was obviously not on the agenda. That afternoon, I prepared phase 2. I spent time playing the devoted husband while Marissa milked her work injury for all it was worth. Around 4 p.m., she complained about her sensitive stomach, saying she needed something light to eat. Perfect opportunity. I prepared what I like to call a symphony of spice. Lamb skewers marinated in a blend that would have made a jalapeno pepper file a restraining order. Ghost pepper powder, Carolina Reaper flakes, habanero sauce, and enough cayenne to strip paint. Then garlic prawns swimming in enough garlic to ward off every vampire in a 5-state radius. But the piece de resistance was the chili crab from that Singaporean place downtown that makes you sign a waiver before they'll serve you their spiciest dishes. This wasn't just food. This was a weaponized dining experience designed to torture someone with compromised internal geography. She took her first bite of the lamb, and for a split second, her expression was pure appreciation. Then the heat hit. But it was the chili crab that really sealed the deal. She took one bite, and I watched her entire body tense like she'd been hit with a cattle prod. Her face went red, then white, then an interesting shade of green that I'd never seen on a human being before. "Maybe I should lie down," she said weakly. "I think the medication is interacting with the food." But I wasn't done yet. Hidden in our medicine cabinet was a tube of recovery ointment that she'd probably need for the next few days. I'd emptied the contents and refilled the tube with capsaicin cream, the stuff they use to treat arthritis pain. The same active ingredient that makes pepper spray so effective. It looked identical to the original ointment, but when applied to tender areas, it would turn her recovery process into a whole new level of hell. The next morning at 6 a.m. came the scream. Not just any scream. This was the kind of primal, gut-wrenching shriek that comes from someone who's just discovered that their recovery ointment had been replaced with liquid fire. "Something's wrong with the medicine," she gasped between what sounded like hyperventilating. "It's burning. Oh, God, it's burning." We rushed back to the hospital, the same one she'd been wheeled out of less than 12 hours earlier. Doctor Martinez, who'd overseen the separation procedure, looked like he was having the strangest week of his medical career. "This level of inflammation is severe," he said after examining her. "The tissue damage from yesterday's procedure, combined with what appears to be a chemical burn, has created a potentially serious situation. Given the extent of the damage and the risk of infection, I'm recommending surgical intervention. We need to remove the affected tissue before necrosis sets in." Necrosis. That meant tissue death, permanent damage, the kind of consequences that don't just heal with time and good intentions. The surgery took 3 hours, and when Dr. Martinez came out, his expression was grave. "We were able to remove all the damaged tissue, but the extent of the excision was more significant than we initially anticipated. There will be permanent functional changes." While she was recovering, I'd spent the morning at my lawyer's office finalizing documents prepared with the meticulous attention to detail. Every clause designed to ensure that Marissa walked away from our marriage with exactly what she deserved. Nothing. Well, almost nothing. She'd get to keep the medical bills. I walked into her hospital room with the manila folder. Divorce papers, I said, placing them on a rolling table. Pretty straightforward stuff. You keep nothing. I get the house, the cars, the savings, the investments. Our son stays with me full time. I don't understand. Why? Why now? I'm in the hospital. I just had surgery. See, I know about Leo. I know about the affair. I know about the hotel rooms, the messages, the silver tube of Japanese lubricant that you've been using to enhance your extracurricular activities. I know you've been sedating me so you could sneak out. I know about the encrypted messaging app hidden in your groceries folder. Each revelation hit her like a physical blow. I could actually see her deflating, like someone was slowly letting the air out of her entire existence. She tried to refuse, tearing the papers in half. I'm not signing anything. I smiled and pulled another set from my briefcase. If you won't sign the generous settlement I'm offering, we go to court. And in court, all of this becomes public record. The affair, the circumstances of your medical emergency, the pill use, everything. But instead of accepting defeat, she did something I didn't expect. She started to laugh. Not happy laughter, the kind of broken, hysterical laughter that people make when their sanity finally gives up. Now you think you've won, she said between gasps. You think you're so smart, so clever, but you have no idea what you've done. Leo isn't going anywhere, and there are others too. Do you really think he was the first? Do you really think this was some kind of isolated incident? That's when I discovered the network. Hidden in her tablet's browsing history, I found evidence of something that made Leo's affair look like amateur hour. There was an entire network, a private group that operated through encrypted apps and exclusive websites catering to married people looking for discreet encounters. Marissa had been a premium member for over 3 years. I printed out every piece of evidence and walked straight to the police station. The network was involved in activities that crossed legal lines: tax evasion, prostitution, embezzlement using company credit cards. Within a week, the investigation had expanded to include the FBI. Assets were frozen. Arrests were made. Meanwhile, Mrs. Patterson's video of their ambulance ride went viral. When Cheating Goes Horribly Wrong hit 500,000 views in 12 hours. Someone recognized Leo as a fitness influencer who marketed himself as a relationship coach. His gym fired him before the week was out. Marissa's identity spread like wildfire through our social circles. Her friends started distancing themselves one by one. The book club mysteriously had scheduling conflicts. Even the grocery store cashiers started giving her looks that could freeze hell. 3 weeks later, Leo made the mistake of coming back, demanding $20,000 for medical bills and lost income. Their argument escalated quickly from the front yard into our house. I could hear them moving around upstairs, shouting, then furniture being thrown around. When Leo shoved Marissa down our concrete steps, that's when the officers who'd responded to my domestic disturbance call decided they'd seen enough. Both were arrested, charges added to the existing fraud investigation. The custody hearing was a formality when one parent was in